right now on 5 on your side at 10.
Gusty winds of change, how high those gusts will go, and the cooler temperatures they'll be bringing.
And tonight, public pushback as Spire points to surging natural gas prices. But first tonight, chaos in the checkout line.
It's terrible, and it's very disappointing.
Caught on camera, a dozen people brawling inside a busy local Walmart. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush, and Allred has the night off. Tonight, this video has been shared thousands of times on social media, and police want to talk to anyone who saw it or took part in the violence last night. Our Robert Townsend is live outside the Walmart store off West Florissant and I-270 where it all happened. Robert.
Mike, tonight there's a big difference at this Walmart. Things are quiet and normal, but last night, let me tell you, lots of fists flew. And again, that's not all. Caught on security cameras, violent, loud, and dangerous fights inside this Walmart. Ferguson police say multiple customers, women and men, fought in the packed store's front entrance, attacked each other with objects, threw glass items, and sprayed fire extinguishers.
Either young adults or adults in general, it's terrible.
Police Chief Frank McCall says shortly after 9 Tuesday night, they received a 911 call about a disturbance inside the store. By the time officers arrived, the wild fights were over and all culprits caught on camera, gone.
So we've never had an incident that involved 20 plus individuals in a brawl like that in a department store. I don't see really the purpose of it.
In the video that's blowing up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, a woman carrying a baby, lots of kids, and other scared shoppers ran as the violence broke out all around them. Police believe those involved in the fights know each other.
They probably kicked off inside the business. It could have occurred on the parking lot.
Was there a security officer there last night?
To the best of my knowledge, I believe that there was one there, but I'm not sure how many were there.
What is clear, stunned shoppers can't stop talking about this.
And they could have hit anyone, innocent bystander.
That makes me not want to shop here anymore.
Detectives are now reviewing every frame of the videotaped fights.
We have identified some individuals that have been involved in this, and we're going to take the steps necessary to ensure that justice is done.
Police are now asking any witnesses to come forward. Now, I reached out to Walmart for their reaction. A spokesperson would only say, quote, "Our customers' safety is our top priority." We're live in Ferguson. Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Just into our newsroom minutes ago, all schools in the Melville School District will be closed tomorrow. School officials tell 5 on your side it's because of a network hardware failure affecting phones, internet, and computers. They say they can't safely hold classes. There will be no virtual learning or athletic practices, but any scheduled games will be played. Tonight, a last-minute cancellation of a big event promising huge crowds in St. Louis this weekend. The River City HBCU Classic was supposed to be a new spin of the former Gateway Classic that brought college football fans to town every year. Our Brent Solomon is live at the Dome at America Center to explain how organizers are blaming the venue. Brent.
So fast.
St. Louis, get ready for the River City historically black college and university football classic.
Social media was all abuzz for the big event scheduled to happen Sunday at the Dome at America Center. 2 football teams facing off, followed by a battle of the bands. 4 days before the event, organizers saying it is being moved from St. Louis to Arkansas. We experienced substantial and critical interference concerning producing and promoting the classic at the hands of Explore St. Louis, organizers said. Our ability to fully sell tickets through Ticketmaster was impeded, restrained, or not allowed to happen. Organizers claiming excessive ticketing and facility fees, unexplained interference with classic contractual business relationships, and unusual charges and fees.
Well, it's quite the contrary. We bent over backwards to make everything happen with this organizer. We embraced protocols that are consistent with Ticketmaster. The service fees that were called attention to are the customary service fees for our facility or facility like ours.
Brian Hall with Explore St. Louis questions if organizers got a late start selling tickets.
They weren't able to meet some of the financial terms of the contract.
When did you guys notice that a payment was missed?
We noticed that a payment was missed. We monitor all payments that are in accordance with contracts for all of our customers, and a payment was missed earlier this week.
A host of separate events were planned to welcome the Classic, like this pregame scholarship fundraiser.
We've paid caterers, we paid the DJ. We have contracts, so we're going to move forward with our event. We're going to turn it into a Sunday fun day and try to make the best out of it.
Organizers are now directing people to Ticketmaster to get a refund. I reached out to those organizers for an interview tonight. They did not respond, but they did say in their statement, quote, "This battle is not over. We will settle this matter by legal means." Live in downtown St. Louis tonight, Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
Tonight, a man shot by a St. Louis police officer has been treated and released from the hospital and is now in police custody. We're not naming the man because he's yet to be charged. Police received several calls around 11 o'clock last night about someone firing shots near Tucker in Washington. While searching for the gunman and officers, as a man hiding behind a dumpster stood up and pointed a pistol at him. The officer fired several shots, grazing him in the shoulder. No one else was hurt. Police say they recovered this gun at the scene. A dubious distinction tonight for St. Louis. WalletHub has named it the country's most dangerous city. The study, which pulled information from the FBI, the U.S. Census, and the Bureau of Labor, says St. Louis is tied at the bottom in assaults and traffic fatalities per capita. But it gets high marks for police officers per capita and preventing hate crimes. Mayor Tashara Jones disputes the findings.
Obviously, there's a disconnect. WalletHub doesn't live here or doesn't and isn't here. It's, if they take random statistics from random newspapers, then of course.
Mayor Jones says new initiatives such as the Behavioral Health Bureau will help curb crime. Tonight, Spire customers got to have their say about a proposed rate hike for natural gas. The utility held the first of 3 public hearings. 5 on your side's Laura Barczewski was in the room tonight as many asked questions. Laura.
People who spoke at the hearing tonight are concerned because they already can't pay their bills. And the biggest question tonight is, why is this happening?
Why the rate increase? This is a pretty decent rate increase. You're asking for, what, 10% increase in revenue?
Scott Weitzel with Spire says one of the biggest reasons is natural gas infrastructure.
A lot of the pipe was all put in 60, 80 years ago at the same time. And so there's an acceleration of us needing to pull certain materials out of the ground. And that's been an effort and focus that really ramped up in the past 10 years.
In addition, he says the rate increase will help with an accounting reset and financing company operations.
This is asking for recovery of dollars we spent a year ago, 2 years ago, and it needed to get refunded and recovered for that.
As for why this is happening a lot sooner than the company hoped, Weitzel says Winter Storm Uri in February of last year was a big problem.
We were spending hundreds of millions of dollars in gas costs. Those were costs not passed on to you at that time. We shouldered that and had to deal with that in how we run our business.
But advocates who work in warming centers say people already can't pay their gas bills after the last increase in December 2021.
If this goes through, I want to be sitting there talking to some people who couldn't pay your 10% increase and then end up talking to me in the warming center. You can point them to these programs in the back, but there's a lot of hoops to jump through to get to be part of those. I know because I try to walk people through those steps.
Spire says they're working on current programs and new ones to help those who can't pay, but it's going to take time.
We do know that just because you're at a certain income level does not mean that you don't need help. So we are currently working with that right now.
There's another hearing tomorrow, and we'll have more information on that on KSDK.com. If the rate increase is approved, it will go into effect late February. Mike.
Thanks. New information tonight on a freak accident along I-64 in St. Louis. Police now think a piece of metal crashed through a woman's windshield, causing her to crash into a concrete wall. It happened yesterday afternoon in the westbound lanes near the Vandeventer exit. The woman was taken to the hospital where she died. At first, they thought her car was hit by a boulder. Investigators are still not sure where the piece of metal came from. Tonight, we know the identity of the man killed in a deadly hit and run in St. Louis County. Police say he's 38-year-old Marquis Murray. He was hit near the intersection of St. Charles Rock Road and Normandy early yesterday morning. Tonight, police continue to look for the driver. They've released these surveillance images of an early 2000s white-colored GMC Yukon. It has damage to the front driver's side and is missing part of its headlight. If you recognize this vehicle, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. Tonight, a retired St. Louis priest awaits sentencing on federal child pornography charges. Fathers James Biley pleaded guilty today. The church launched an investigation last May after a compromising picture of him was found on a printer at his job at the Congregation of the Mission. Federal prosecutors say the church contacted the FBI after finding nearly 6,000 illegal images on Biley's computer and smartphone. He will be sentenced in January. The Survivors Network of those abused by priests is calling on the church to reach out to parishioners and former students who may have been victimized. Biley had a long teaching career at St. Thomas Aquinas Mercy High School, Vincent Gray Academy in East St. Louis, and Our Lady Queen of Peace in House Springs.
On the front lines of devastation.
Conditions were horrific. Just everything was gone.
Tonight, Missouri first responders are back home from Florida. They say the destruction from Hurricane Ian is the worst they've ever seen. It's the next generation of gardening. Tonight, the new science course changing the food landscape and helping people make ends meet.
Sunny, cool, and windy weather on the way. I'll time out any rain chances in the 10-day.
Tonight, a federal judge here in St. Louis is deciding whether or not to temporarily block President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. 6 states, including Missouri, filed a lawsuit last month saying the program is unconstitutional. A hearing was held today in St. Louis. The Biden administration's plan, which goes into effect soon, would cancel up to $20,000 in student loan debt for millions of federal borrowers. If the judge grants a preliminary injunction, the relief would be put on hold until the case is decided.
It's a challenge, and it leaves a lot of, folks with debt forgiveness sort of in limbo about those payments restart in January. So where will they be financially over the next couple months?
Judge says his decision on a preliminary injunction will be made soon. We're just hours away from the government's report on consumer inflation in September, but a key indicator is already painting a bad picture. The Labor Department reports the U.S. Producer Price Index increased 0.4% in September, rising faster than expected. These wholesale prices are likely passed on to the consumer. We're living in a time when we're seeing food deserts and more people having a hard time affording their next meal. Now there's a big effort to change the food landscape in our homes, schools, and beyond. Michelle Lee explains in tonight's Making Ends Meet report.
You may see a different type of landscaping taking shape at homes and institutions across St. Louis.
We want more people to see the outdoors as a place for interaction and not just a place that they're going to just go mow the grass.
Matt Lebon is on a mission to turn landscapes into foodscapes, which is different than gardens.
These are systems and plants that every year after you plant them, they get stronger and more productive over time, and there's less work needed over time. So it's like this great balance. Have you all been using the mint still?
Matt's company, Custom Foodscapes, built an orchard on the Principia School campus 5 years ago, and this year they're really seeing the fruits of their labor, harvesting foods like Missouri's native pawpaw, strawberries, apples, pears, and persimmons.
When it's extra squishy, it's extra squishy, then it's extra delicious. Oh, yeah. That's so good. It's so good, right? Mm-hmm. It's so delicious.
It's low maintenance for a high yield. Growing native plants keeps disease and pests at bay. Perennials grow back every year. Even strategic planting utilizes rainwater better.
Just the exposure that it provides students is so powerful to new flavors, new principles. So it really provides rich learning at all levels.
That's the reason that we do this work, is so that people will engage and have, what we like to call magical food moments.
Matt has been part of a lot of magical food moments in St. Louis. Before this, he led the Earth Dance Organic Farm School in Ferguson. He knows connection with food is both magical and practical, and he'd like to see that continue to grow.
There's so much education needed for a business like this to grow, but every year we're adding people, and that's really encouraging because we're really excited about more livelihoods of people getting to work with the land, helping people create food-producing landscapes.
Custom Foodscapes has created more community and edible spaces for places like the YMCA in Wildwood and the North County Agricultural Education Center, even some restaurants. Back to you.
As flu cases rise across the country, health officials are urging people to get their flu shot. St. Louis County Executive Dr. Sam Page got his shot this morning. He says COVID-19 mitigation helped keep flu levels low the last 2 years, but he expects more cases this season.
And not only did masks help slow the spread of COVID-19, they also helped keep the flu at bay. And since it can take up to 2 weeks for the vaccine to become effective, we strongly suggest that you get your flu shot now.
Flu shots are available at all 3 health centers in St. Louis County. The hours are 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. No appointments necessary, but you will need your insurance information. Children as young as 5 are now eligible for the updated COVID-19 booster. The FDA gave its approval today. The Pfizer shot is for ages 5 to 11. Kids as young as 6 can get the Moderna shot. They're eligible if it's been at least 2 months since their last dose. Tonight, members of Missouri Task Force 1 are back home in the Show Me State. They return from a 13-day deployment to Southwest Florida to help in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. The crew of 55 firefighters help with search and recovery efforts around Fort Myers Beach. Task Force leaders say the damage was worse than they've seen in previous hurricane deployments, including Katrina.
Conditions were horrific. Just everything was gone, washed away, cars, vehicles, boats, something like we've never seen before, and we've seen a lot of disasters.
The unit will have a few days rest with their families before leaving Monday for a deployment exercise in Georgia. Meteorologist Jim Castillo is in for Scott tonight, and we have some big changes on the way. By early next week, Jim, it's going to feel like fall for a change.
Yeah, the end of the growing season may happen. We might actually have a freeze. So we'll be watching that for you as we head into the next few days here, and the models are still showing that. And then it gets warmer after that, though. So it's going to get cold and then back to warm again. We've been going up and down. Camera shaking right now, and a beautiful shot there of St. Louis and the skyline. 76 today, 62 for the overnight low, and about 11 hundredths of rainfall at Lambert. Now, St. Louis, even I was awakened by the lightning and the thunder, and that moved this morning before sunrise into the Metro East. And some places, even like Madison County around Edwardsville, had about a quarter of an inch of rain. So that first system moved to our south and east, that one cold front. Then there's a little bit of a cold front coming through right now, and you can see just a thin band of showers developing. So we're not done yet. If you didn't get any rain, there's still some rain out there from Bowling Green to Pittsfield, and it is headed to the south. So you might get a passing shower. It probably isn't going to add up to too much at all. But then we have the wind with it. Already wind gusts to 38 miles an hour. Columbia, Pittsfield 31. So eventually we're going to get that wind in here, and it's widespread tomorrow. In fact, some of those wind gusts up to 35 miles an hour, and it's extremely dry. So we've had little rain over the past couple of days, but a little bit. But nonetheless, red flag warnings in effect for low relative humidity, the very high wind gusts in our southern counties, and also dry brush and grass. So the chance of a fire starting and then spreading quickly is high down there from noon until about 8 p.m. So it's windy all day tomorrow. Temperatures in the 60s, but sunny. And then lows tonight expected to be in the 40s for lows. But this is what Mike was talking about. This is what's going to happen on Tuesday morning. Lake St. Louis about 30, 34 Creve Coeur, 31 in O'Fallon, Illinois. So some of us down below freezing. A huge trough of low pressure is developing for the eastern, really third of the United States, and that's going to bring that cold weather into play here for just a few days. So 65 tomorrow, windy. That's the big story for tomorrow. Then 70 on Friday and Saturday. So breezy Friday, Chance of a spot shower, mostly cloudy Saturday, 68 Sunday, and then 50s for Monday, Tuesday. The coldest mornings are Tuesday and Wednesday, and we may see that freeze in the morning, and then we warm back up after that.
All right, Jim, thanks.
Yeah.
Frank is here with sports.
Well, Mike, here's the question of the night. Should the Cardinals bring Adam Wainwright back? Waino tweeted something today that will make you think long and hard about it. Stick around, please. The Cardinals had a wonderful 93-win season, but when you look at these final 4 teams in the National League, there is a difference. It's either just more dynamic offensive players, especially in the outfield, and more elite starting pitching to begin a series. Here's one of them, the Braves and Phillies. This is Kyle Wright, and this 21-game winner was dominating with 6 scoreless innings, a 2-hitter with 6 strikeouts. And here's the best young third baseman in the league, Austin Riley, making a sensational catch. Braves win it 3-0 and even this series at a game apiece. The Dodgers have owned the Padres lately. Tonight, Game 2, Jurickson Profar with a base hit. It scores Jake Cronenworth to give the Padres a 4-3 lead. That's the score right now in the 7th inning. As we wait for an official announcement from Adam Wainwright on his plans for 2023, he's been dancing around the topic. He didn't have a September to remember. We thought that could influence his decision. Well, today on social media, Waino threw out another clue for us to chew over. It all goes back to August 28th when he was hit by a comebacker against the Braves. In his 6 starts after that, he allowed 23 earned runs in 28 innings. He explained it was due to a mechanical issue that threw his entire delivery off. Now, I won't get deep in the weeds on it, but Waino says they had it worked out. Then the season ended. Doesn't sound like a guy who's ready to pack it in, does it? So I know there are some out there saying, oh, he pitches poorly and now he says he's injured. He's just old. In 2017, Waino was bad. An ERA in the 5s. Everybody thought he was finished. He later said, the reason I was bad was because I was injured. And he's come back and pitched really well. Now it's 5 years later, and he is 41 years old. But if anybody deserves the benefit of the doubt, if anybody deserves another chance, it's Wainwright. He's our 2nd greatest pitcher ever after Bob Gibson. Loyalty? He didn't go to Anaheim for a decade. He didn't leave the team mid-season to go to Puerto Rico. He's the ultimate Cardinal. In fact, the Cardinals should change policy. Those statues outside Busch are limited to guys who make it to Cooperstown in the Hall of Fame. I'm here to say Waino deserves a statue too. Hey, there is something really special brewing at Hermann Stadium for the SLU women's soccer team. They're 13-1 on the year. They cracked the NCAA top 10 this week. They have 4 games left until the postseason arrives, including tomorrow night at home against Rhode Island. The Bills have had a string of impressive seasons over the past few years, but this could be their best team yet.
There's an incredible amount of depth and talent to this group. It's the most talented team we've ever had. And it's a group that's pretty mission driven. I mean, they've set their sights on high expectations. And I think the groups, the teams that have come before them have really laid a great foundation for them to keep growing.
And the great thing about Katie Shields, the coach, is she knows that we're still like the soccer capital of the country. Half of her roster are kids, young women from the St. Louis area. So she recruits all over, but she seals the borders.
She's done a fantastic job. So if Wainwright comes back, does that mean the starting rotation for next year is set? Or will the Cardinals possibly go after somebody?
Well, I don't think they will because they have $42 million invested in Steven Matz. Jack Flaherty is going to be, he's going to make the rotation different. I think he changes everything. I think he's the key.
If he's healthy.
Yes, but he's the one guy. We talk about elite starting pitching, what we're seeing in the Final Four. Flaherty can get to a level that no other Cardinal starter can get to, I don't think.
All right, Frank, thanks very much. Well, move over, Budweiser. Really? The popular brew coming to St. Louis. St. Louis is home to the king of beers. Now a new brew is moving in, or trying to, on Anheuser-Busch's territory. Today, Yuengling announced its expanding distribution of its popular lagers to Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. The Pennsylvania brewery claims to be the oldest beer maker in the country. Yuengling will be available in local stores in early 2023. You can find the perfect Halloween costume in a snap. Snapchat has launched a new set of lenses allowing you to virtually try on popular costumes. You can also buy the costumes through the app. And there's something strange in a Portland, Oregon neighborhood. A recreation of the Ghostbusters New York City firehouse is being rented out for Halloween. It's fully equipped with an Ecto-1 proton packs and Stay Puft marshmallows. Rental sites. Vacasa is listing it for $19.84 a night. $19.84. That's in honor of the year the movie premiered. And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is Jimmy's guest tonight. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. We'll see you tomorrow.